You had those moments, or maybe even days or weeks, where it felt like your clarity just collapsed, that your thoughts are moving through molasses, or maybe you can't seem to make any kind of ripple or resonance with what you are putting out there. Plans, communications, projects, even your own intuition seems to be going offline, and it's almost like you've been caught up in an extremely heavy gravity of another person's reality. The Greeks referred to a thing called miasma, which is a disturbance in the spiritual atmosphere that was seen to actually block a person's ability to connect with their own daimon, or even have their prayers or their spells communicate with the divine in the universe. The Japanese refer to, in Shinto, a phenomenon known as kegare, a defilement of the energy field from energetic noise and corruption. Interestingly enough, modern physics has a model for this too. If you're a student of physics and a student of ancient mythology, then you suddenly become very aware that in ancient traditions, there really wasn't such a thing as superstition. It was just really early physics, and an artful, romantic way of discussing early physics. And when we talk about this idea of being caught up in the gravity of another person's reality, their energies, or their intentions, we can actually look at a lot of symbolic connections with all kinds of different phenomena throughout the ancient world. That's what we're going to be talking about in this video. What it means to actually be caught up in the gravity well of another person. What was once called a jinx, and how to identify when a jinx is at work in your life. When two energetic systems interact, the system with the stronger field coherence pulls the weaker system into its state. In physics, this is called entrainment. And in spirituality, this is something that we see happen all the time. And a lot of people might refer to this as coherence itself. And when we are talking about coherence in a healthy way, we are talking about alignment. And when we are talking about coherence in an unhealthy way, we are talking about density. And when we are talking about a lack of coherence or chaotic activity, that can also, of course, entrain a completely different state in a person's energy field and create all kinds of problems as well. But it's not just reserved to a person's personal energy field. An environment can be entrained to vibrate a certain way. A digital space, a YouTube channel, a message board, or any kind of social media platform where people are regularly interacting, commenting, or talking, or even a text message thread can actually be entrained to vibrate on a certain flow. When you enter a field that is denser than yours, your internal rhythm gets pulled off of its own frequency. And sometimes that happens by accident, and sometimes that's being done to you on purpose, or it's being done to everyone in a given situation on purpose. This is why whenever you get maybe a text message from a certain individual, even if your phone is in the other room, you suddenly can't think, or you suddenly can't focus, or a wave of some kind of somatic distress comes over you. Or when somebody is attempting to send you thoughts, imperatives, intentions, or demands for what they want, and maybe they're doing it silently, you can still pick up on that psychic intrusion in your field or in your space. Sometimes you might just be walking by a person, or a neighbor might be getting too close to the wall that you share, and you suddenly feel like you're in a different bubble, and it's no good. So what's actually happening to you when this occurs? When your field loses coherence or loses its natural alignment because it's sinking to external pressure, three things collapse. Signal clarity. This is when we have an issue where it's hard to pick up not only on messages that we are trying to receive, but also deliver messages that we are trying to send energetically, spiritually, psychically, or divinely. Your intuition goes static or goes crazy. Your executive function gets compromised. Your decision-making becomes more scrambled. Your brain reallocates resources to stabilize the incoming field. You're not necessarily sure what is going on. Who is trying to push this script, this reality, this intention that they are constantly putting out there to command their reality onto me? Why are we doing this? Why is this happening? How is it happening to me? Your mind is trying to figure out what's happening to itself, and it's throwing your entire energy field into a whirl. And then the other and final collapse is, of course, trajectory and momentum. This is the part everybody recognizes first. You suddenly can't move forward. This is the ancient binding kind of experience, right? A binding spell is basically a spell where a person is scripting what a person can and cannot do. Sometimes it's used for protection, binding a person from doing harm to others or harm to themselves. Sometimes it's a binding spell to enslave somebody to another person, right? Those are the love binding spells. Those are the attachment binding spells, the commitment binding domination spells. And sometimes what happens is bindings can happen without a ritual because a person might be attempting to enforce an entraining of everyone around them to do things their way. I've seen it happen with families. I've seen this happen in marriages. I've seen this happen in businesses. And it's a binding, but not by a rope or chain, but by inertia. Systems are no longer running their own natural timelines. They are running what is being pressured upon them by an individual or a group, whether that group was entrained or not entrained. Sometimes you encounter people that learn how to do this at a very young age. Parasitically, they do learn how to do this for their own survival. And that's something you often see in work and family situations as well. But there are all kinds of different ways that this can come up. What's really weird, especially for those of you watching this, because I'm assuming you're watching this because you have some interest in the spiritual world, the world of the occult, astrology, the psychic, mystical, and magical, is that a lot of the New Age world and the world of manifestation and law of attraction and power of intention kind of stuff accidentally made this worse. Well, maybe we can come back and debate in another video whether or not it was on accident. Maybe there's a conspiracy there too. It did this by encouraging people to project their unresolved emotional states outward under spiritual language, sending each other energy without qualifying that energy, binding and holding each other in one another's space, sending intentions, scripting conversations, and projecting the script of those conversations onto other people. Learning how to send your energies and your intentions to go forth into the universe to actually do the work of manifesting the life you want is supposed to be about your engagement with the universe and your environment. It's not supposed to be about sending all of that into another being, into another person's reality to control what they do and say and feel. That is actually the act of this jinxing going on all the time. And when you have enough people entrained into it, and suddenly entire communities and egregores start doing it, you have a global jinx endemic. Many different strains. People don't realize that these are not passive engagements, that they are not just special code words that you do to feel like you're in a special club. They're actually committing to a lot of field broadcasts. And in mythological terms, they're generating not only the miasma that blocks a person's connection to their own guides, to their own divinity, but also their ability to, well, conduct their own reality their way. They create cords and chains of bindings and attachments because the more you concentrate your energies and your intentions onto another person's fields, that's where you start getting cords and latches put up. Some people live based on how many cords and psychic links they could make, but we have a situation where people are emanating their intentions as a control pattern and mechanism. And what happens with this is that, well, people start jamming each other's frequencies. People start jamming each other's energies. People start trying to dominate and control each other instead of changing their own reality. When enough people do this, even unintentionally, entire communities can become foggy, directionless, and internally unstable. And then all they're doing is passing around chaos. And believe me, as a professional tarot reader and astrologer, I've seen enough of that this last 10 years. To write a book of my own, but I'll have to wait. because I don't have the patience to write a book right now. So let's bring it back to you. Why do you get stuck? Why do you get blocked? And how is it having an effect on your reality, on your world? How is it giving you the bad luck streak with your money, or with your job, or with your love life, or with your friends, or with your projects? When you're caught in somebody else's gravity, or the gravity of a community that is holding these chaotic or dense vibrations, your creativity is going to shut down. You're going to start finding difficulty just sitting down to do the most mundane tasks. You're going to feel almost as though you are bound to the script that you are supposed to stay on according to that reality gravity, even if it's not yours. When we talk about things like timelines, we talk about things like people's roads needing to be opened, we are talking about situations where entire entrained flows of energy are dominating a structure and a reality, but the people involved in it might not necessarily actually be meant to be there. And sometimes people learn these techniques in order to make them serve it. And again, before you run out and blame the government or blame a bunch of ETs, guess what? You got to pay a little bit more attention to how you protect yourself from, I don't know, somebody in the convenience store, or maybe even take a break from that YouTube community, or that Facebook group, or that spiritual group that maybe actually not only pushes, but maybe attracts a lot of people who've got this going on. You know, one of the worst things that can happen is, well, you get bound up in a situation where the symptoms of another person's life becomes yours because you're caught in their gravity. And I think that should be your homework right now before I come out with the next video, which I'll have coming out here in the next few days. Because in the next video, I will be showing you how to break this gravitational pull, and it's actually very easy. But for now, it might be wise to consider where you might need to release some cords and links, and also take stock of when and where you notice your world going down because you're caught in somebody else's gravity, their reality instead. You can easily reset yourself to pay close attention to what's going on with a little activity tonight, just a simple bath. I would recommend a little easy sea salt bath. Maybe put a few drops of either lemon soap, or maybe a drop of lemon essential oil, or a squirt of lemon juice in that bath, and visualize all the cords and guck and attachments and enmeshments to other people melting in that lemon salt water and washing away. Lemon has been used forever in all kinds of cord breaking and tie breaking spells and rituals because it helps clean and reset the body back to autonomous sovereignty. And the salt, of course, is going to cleanse away any residual harmful energy that you might have accumulated. When you get that clarity back, it's time to pay attention to who and what is trying to hold you in their gravity reality, whether they know it or not. And then you can start taking your distance where you should, at least for a while. We'll talk more about managing situations where you can't always do that in the next video. Y'all take care. Let me know what you think in the down bar below. And again, if anyone wants a personal tarot or astrology reading with me, head out my website, integrativemysticism.com.